Hi folks, welcome to your latest mwis Friday Planner in association with Ellis Brigham. We've still got a rather slow-moving weather pattern as we head into the weekend. A familiar story then of some local slow-moving downpours with the light winds just keeping these in position, so you could get a downpour that lasts for quite a while whilst nearby misses them completely. It's a generally improving story in the week ahead, although it might be a bit of a stop-start affair to try and get to better weather, but warmer, drier conditions do look like they're building through the middle of the month. Here's the chart for Saturday. There's the slack pressure pattern that is around, and again it's going to be a situation of those slow moving downpours breaking out. I'll show you a more detailed run through in a moment. A small frontal system drifting across the south of England, not having really too much to do with any of the mountains, may just lead to a rather cloudy start across Wales and the South Pennines. A further frontal system is approaching from the Atlantic. It's a fairly warm and humid day then across the hills, and not such a great deal of wind around. Here's the sequence then through Saturday, and first light, there may be some areas of rain around across Wales and central England, affecting the Pennine areas as well. It's all sort of tied into that front that's toward the south. It's a very ragged, messy situation, so some areas may see some rain for a few hours in the morning, maybe not that heavy, quite patchy, the odd burst of rain in places. The greater risk, though, of some heavier downpours breaking out will be onwards into the afternoon, but it could just be that rather dull start that is not so grand for a Saturday morning. The heaviest of the thundery downpours then, the greatest risk of those across Wales, a bit more toward northwest England on Saturday compared to recent days, so the Lake District has the risk of them breaking out through the afternoon and across central and western parts of the Highlands. Still a risk though across into the Cairngorms as well. As I said, these will drift around slowly, not a great deal of wind, so some places will get a downpour, other places will miss them. It's just that rather hit and miss situation. Moving things on into Saturday evening and night, some of those bursts of rain are still hanging around, most of them tending to fade away. The odd burst could just still stay around into the night. Then we're being pushed by a frontal system coming in from the southwest, and that will be the story for Sunday. It's still, though, the likelihood of some heavy and thundery bursts in places. Now, the greater risk of those by Sunday afternoon will be a bit more toward more northeastern regions, a lower risk around the Lake District, a lower risk for southwest Scotland, somewhere around the borders, the North Pennines, and across central, north and eastern parts of the Highlands has the greater risk of those. Further west and southwest over the Highlands has the lower risk. Meanwhile, for Wales, the front that's coming in is a more general area of rain and still a few showers in amongst it as well. Either way, you can expect some rain at some point for Sunday for many places. That's how things look on the synoptic chart for Sunday then. A broad area of low pressure just parked to the northwest of us, the frontal system just drifting into Wales and the west, and that risk of the downpours further north and east. Not too much wind around again, it's still a rather humid feel to things. Temperatures on the warm side, not excessive, but a little bit humid, especially if any sunshine does come through at all. But a lot of cloud will be around and some banks of fog and mist over the hills at times, with some breaks mixed in too. Now that frontal system that was out to the west gets in a bit of a tangle with itself as it runs across the south of England into Monday with some heavy rain in places there. That's generally away from the mountain areas, and we're back into a situation of being rather slack with the pressure pattern and some slow-moving thundery showers breaking out again. Greatest risk of those for central parts of the Highlands, across into northeast England as well. Lower risk further west across the lakes and Wales. A stronger westerly breeze is likely across the Welsh mountains, which may just keep things feeling a little bit fresher and showers that bit more scattered and moving through. Otherwise, it is light winds and a fairly humid atmosphere that does exist again across the northern parts of Britain. A ridge of higher pressure is attempting to build in from the west, though, and that sort of topples in a little bit for Tuesday. It's a gradual build of pressure rather than a particularly strong high at this stage. Leftovers of previous weather still around in the southeast. And for many of the mountain areas, it looks a better day with just one or two local clusters of showers that break out, most likely eastern Scotland and maybe just down the eastern coastal areas of England. So a good chance for Tuesday that you stay dry most or all of the day. Some low cloud and mist around early on, breaking up a bit with some sunshine coming through. Still maybe a fair amount of cloud in the story though. By the middle of the week, it is the idea that high pressure is nearby, but we're still being fed by some Atlantic weather systems, very weak features, but enough to draw in some moisture, and that could be rather frustrating in places for some low cloud being stubborn, the greatest risk across more western hills, and maybe even some drizzly rain running in across Scotland at times. Just depends how the various bits of weak fronts do behave. That warm front out west of Ireland could just drift in for something a bit more persistently damp as time goes on. For western Scotland, we'll watch the detail of that one. Further south and east, generally a drier, brighter story with some sunshine and feeling pleasantly warm in the sun, a generally light breeze again for most places. There's not 100% consistency between all the forecasting simulations after midweek, but most of them do go for the idea that high pressure extends northwards across Britain in the second half of the week for generally dry, warm and increasingly sunny conditions. A few areas of low cloud may linger around for a day or so, the wind speeds generally then staying very light, and temperatures coming up by a few degrees could become very warm if the high does build properly in over the top of us and give us more in the way of sunshine. The idea then of a good outlook towards that next weekend, maybe still just watching for being bothered by some fronts drifting around the western flank of the high, could just interfere with west and northwest Scotland occasionally. Perhaps nothing more than just a zone of cloud and a little bit of patchy rain. Overall then, it does look a decent outlook into the middle of the month. Possibility of a good spell of summer weather through that period. We'll keep an eye on those details as always. That's your planning outlook for today in association with Ellis Brigham. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.